Today's lesson is going to be on minor scales. Before you do this, make sure you really understand your major scales because we're going to work on these as kind of tweaking the major scales. So if you don't know those, go back to the major scales. I have a multiple set series. Go back, get really good at major scales, and if you've got those, minor scales are going to be simple, okay? All a major scale is, as we showed before, is a combination of whole, whole, half, whole, 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 half. There's just whole steps and half steps. Minor scales are the same thing, they're just a little different on how the whole steps and half steps work. It's not a great way to teach it though, so I don't want you to think it that way. What I want you to think is how it tweaks from the major. I'm going to start off by showing you the traditional way of how it's taught, and then I'm going to show you what I do with my students, which I think is helpful to them and will be helpful to you as well. Okay, so the first thing we do is we go up to the sixth note or down to the third. It's the same thing. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm in a C major scale right now. So I'm going to find the sixth note, and I'm just going to do a scale off of the sixth note using the exact same key signature as C major. So now if I just take this up to A, D, E, F, G, and A, and I start now here and go to here, that is an A natural minor scale. And if you notice, an A scale, A minor scale, has the same key signature as a C major scale. We call those relative scales because they have the same key signature. Why don't we talk about those words really quick? You'll see these. When you're asked what is a parallel scale as far as majors and minors, C major and C minor are parallel. Why? Because they have the same name. E flat major, E flat minor, we call them parallel. Why? Because they have the same name. Pretty easy. They just share the same name. When we say relative, it means that they share the same key signature. In this case, C and A. Now here I went up a 6, but I could go down a third. C, and then go backwards, B and A. So I went down 2 notes and I found that. You can do that off of anything. Let's just go F major. Okay, so I'm going to take F, and I can go up 6 or I can go down 3. F, E, D. You're going to notice that D minor is going to have the same key signature as F major. B, okay, so B major has the 5 sharps, right? So let's go B, A sharp, G sharp. G sharp minor and B major are going to have the same key signature with 5 sharps. So that's the traditional way that we learn these. But I'm going to show you a different way. So now what I notice is that when I look at that A minor, I know in my head, because I know all my majors, that I know that A major, and I'm going to write it in capital letters, has 3 sharps. And now I know that A minor has nothing. So what's the difference between the major and the minor? Well, the minor has 3 less sharps. Another way of saying 3 less sharps is that it has 3 more flats. Well, that's consistent across the board. You'll notice that as we get to learn these, F major has 1 flat. You'll learn that F minor has 4 flats, okay? So the difference between major and minor is 3 flats. B major has 5 sharps. B minor has 2. 5 minus 3 is 2. We can kind of cross the bridge of sharps and flats. Let's take a look at G. G major has 1 sharp. Add 3 flats for G minor. 1, 2, 3. Think of these canceling out, and I'm left with 2 flats. So G minor will just have 2 flats. So take any major key signature you can think of and add 3 flats. Now you may think of this, well, wait a minute. The most you can have is 7. So, okay, B flat major is 2, so B flat minor is 5. E flat major has 3, so E flat minor has 6. A flat major has 4 flats, so A flat minor must have 7. Well, what do you do with D flat? You're gonna have, your D flat has 5 flats. Are you gonna have 8 flats? No, you can't. So there is no D flat major, okay? It doesn't exist. You have C sharp though, so you can find that one out. Same thing with G flat. There is no G flat major, okay? That would have 9 flats, which we can't have. But you could do F sharp minor, okay? And C flat, we can't do C flat. That would have 9 flats. Oh, sorry, that would have 10 flats, okay? So we can't do C flat minor. but we can do B minor, which is the same thing with the enharmonics. Okay, so those are just ways to figure out some key signatures. Here's kind of a fun thing. What about some of the sharps? I don't know if you watched the videos where I showed you kind of that rule of 7, that when we change the quality, we can add 7 sharps and flats. Do you remember when we looked at, C has nothing, C sharp has 7 sharps, and we learned that C flat has 7 flats? Well, what key signature is going to have 5 sharps? Well, by using that rule I just kind of gave you, if the minor has 5 sharps, it means the major has to have 8 sharps. Well, there is no major key with 8 sharps, so what are you going to do? Well, now think about this. Using the same little logic right here, G has 1 sharp. G flat has 6 flats. What about G sharp? If there was a G sharp, theoretically, it doesn't exist. There is no G sharp major. But if it did exist, it would have 8 sharps. So there is no G sharp major. It doesn't exist. But there is a G sharp minor. G sharp minor would have 5 sharps. The 8 sharps minus 3. So there are 3 minor scales that don't exist in the majors. There's a G sharp minor. There's a D sharp minor. Think about it. D sharp major has 2. So if I add 7, I have 9. And if I take away 3 to make it minor, I'm left with 6 sharps. And so what would the other one be? It would be A sharp minor. Okay? A sharp minor, well, A major has 7. A major has 3. Add 7, you get 10. And if you take away 3, you would have your 7 sharps. If you're a composer and you write in these keys, curse you. You are a bad human being. Okay? But they do exist. So, again, if you're going major to minor, there is no D flat minor, there is no G flat minor, there is no C flat minor. However, there is a G sharp minor, a D sharp minor, and an A sharp minor. So that's one big difference between the major and minors. So I just showed you how to figure out the key signatures. And remember, the word relative, well, I erased it up here, but relative means they have the same key signature. So if I were to go major to minor, let's just pick one out of the blue. Let's just go E major. Okay, and somebody asked me, what is the relative minor? Well, the relative minor means it's going to share the same key signature. So E major has 4 sharps. So I want to find the minor that also has 4 sharps. Okay, well, I know that I had to add 3 flats to get it to 4 sharps. So that really would have had 7 to begin with, right? And which one has 7? C sharp. C sharp major has 7, so C sharp minor will have 4. So these right here would be your relative keys, okay? Let's do one more that's maybe a little bit easier. All right, so the one more we're gonna do, let's go the other way around. So let's start with F minor. F minor has what? Well, F major has 1 flat, add 3, you're gonna have 4 flats. Okay, so now, if I wanna know what's the relative major of F minor, I have to say, well, what major has 4 flats? And you should know that that is A flat major. Now also think about it. If I'm an A flat major, A flat, B flat, C, D flat, E flat, F, the 6th note, and I got there that way. So I think you have to get used to it a little bit, but if you want to find your relative major minors and find out the key signature by just adding 3 flats, it'll usually help you a little bit quicker. Learn your majors, add 3 flats, you got your minors. So that's your natural minors. So we call them natural because they're within the key signature. Now there are different forms, and so I'm going to go over that in some subsequent videos. So look at part 2 to learn about harmonic and melodic minors, but this is how you figure out your key signatures and minor scales.